evening, ghosts and ghouls. You're listening to a horrible podcast.
What's up? We're back. It's JT Ripper.
And I'm Todd of Thunder.
And you're listening to a horrible podcast. And today we're going to be reviewing Evil Dead Rise. So sit back, grab a cold one, and let's take a ride. We just got back from watching Evil Dead Rise. And I think it's the first time we've actually walked out of the theater and really not said too much to each other.
Nope. Kind of wanted to save all my thoughts for the podcast.
So, what did you think, brother?
Well, as an Evil Dead movie, it's probably right up there with the best of them.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this was everything that I wanted it to be, and more. I wanted this to be, I mean, it was an Evil Dead movie, so I had certain expectations.
Right.
And those certain expectations was, violence and gore.
Well, then you must have been happier than a pig covered in shit.
Yeah, because this movie delivers on violence and gore. I don't know, man. It's
I'm almost at a loss for words because I like the 2013 remake, and I feel like this is in the same, like,
it continues,
yeah,
like
that same feel, that same
right.
vibe of the 2013. Like
in many ways, though, I think this one was much better.
Yeah,
simply because the 2013 went off of a remake, so it rehashed some things, but it was still good. This one was a little bit better because it was original. I mean, it took your classic, Book of the Dead type of deal and everything like that, but it was the first time that it takes place in an apartment complex and like in a city instead of out in the woods or like in a cabin like most of the other ones. And it centers around, I think this was the first one that centered around like a family, like you had kids, a mom, an aunt, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All the other movies are like friends or maybe a brother and a sister or, something like that. But
Yeah.
this one was like centered around a family. And yeah, I'm kind of like you. I mean, I've been thinking of the right way to put it in words of how this movie is. And when you see a great horror movie like this, it's not really much to, I don't know. You can't praise it enough, like without just saying it's really, 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 really fucking good.
I mean, this is about as like old school or throwback horror as you're gonna get.
Absolutely. Like, you could put this movie in the 80s and like it would fly.
Yeah.
Like it looks like it was made in 2023, but it feels like it was in the 80s or something.
It just has like that old school like Evil Dead feel to it. I mean, it felt like an Evil Dead movie. I guess to give you kind of a brief rundown of the story, it's not really too much to the story. I mean, they they keep it to the Evil Dead formula. They keep it pretty simple. You see this girl. You think she's kind of in a band, but it comes to find out she's touring with a band. She's a technician. She's pregnant and she doesn't know what to do, so she comes home.
Yeah, she goes and visits her sister, who lives in this apartment complex with her 3 kids.
Yeah,
and she's kind of in a bad way. Her husband just kind of took off and left the family. Plus, the apartment is about to be condemned and tore down and everything. So she's got a lot on her plate. And, that's basically what the story is. They send the kids out to go get some pizzas or whatever so they can kind of have the adult talk. And while they're out, this earthquake happens, and it tears up the fucking building at the bottom, like where they park at and shit.
Yeah, the parking garage.
And they, the apartment building used to be like an old bank or whatever. So, like, this big hole opens up, and the kids go down in there. Well, what was his name? Danny? Is that his name?
I think his name was Danny. I feel like that was right. Let's see. Danny boy.
Yeah, Danny goes down there, and he's like, hey, it's an old vault down here, and that's where he finds, the records that the priest and everybody has recorded, and he finds what is eventually known as the Book of the Dead. Yeah. And they basically put it down here to kind of lock it away and kind of keep it away from anybody finding it, but this earthquake kind of fucks that idea up. Excuse me. And, just out of curiosity brings it up. And,
Yeah, the son, Danny, starts playing the records. And
which conjures up the
demon.
The demon. And if you've seen all the Evil Dead movies, you know that the demon has no face. It's kind of like this invisible entity that grabs a hold of whoever it comes in contact with. And this was very unique because it latched on to the mom, of course, because the mom is the one going through all the shit. She has so much on her plate. So I think it's one of those deals where it kind of latches on the person that has the most burden on them, or the most, vulnerable type of deal.
Possibly. Yeah.
I mean, that's my guess, because, if you look at the history of, like, Evil Dead 2, the last Evil Dead or whatever, it always kind of attaches itself to the first person that's more vulnerable than anybody else in the group. Right. Like in the 2013, it was the girl. And she was the one that was there at the cabin where they, they basically was doing an intervention because she's all fucked up on drugs. Right. So it kind of gets her, like in the original Evil Dead, the girl runs out in the woods and she's all distressed and she gets fucking basically raped by the fucking woods.
Yeah.
Which
I thought they were going to go that route in this one, but they stopped.
Yeah, they didn't need to. That was one thing that didn't need to be rehashed.
No.
I mean, you can find other creative ways, let the original have that, and you do something different.
If you're a Evil Dead fan, you're going to notice a lot of Easter eggs in this. It's a lot of callbacks, but it's not so like,
it's not like cheesy though. It's
not
like
cheesy, and it doesn't rely on the callbacks to make the story good. Honestly, if you're
to be honest with you, it's not really callbacks. It's really like a blueprint on how to defeat this shit.
No, I'm talking about like the little like when she's in the elevator, like, and she's like getting all tied up.
Oh yeah. It was very reminiscent of the wood scene
Wood
and
scene.
stuff. And
Then you had, of course, the chainsaw, the shotgun. She even quoted, "I'm going to swallow your soul." Little callbacks like that. That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, as a movie, it's a feel good callback, especially fans. But as a story goes, there might be some people out there going, "Oh, well, they rehashed this and they rehashed that," and I'm just like, no, they do it in every movie, so maybe it's not a rehashing. Maybe this is how the demons operate. This is what they say to people, no matter if this is 1981 or 2023.
Yeah.
So it's there to have a good nostalgic feeling, but it's quickly there to tell you, hey, this is also 2023, and this is our version, and it's just as kick-ass. And I think they succeeded in that. And
Absolutely.
when the mom gets possessed or whatever, that's when the movie really starts picking up on the gore and just the earthquake and everything has kind of rendered them helpless in this apartment building. Like, the elevator doesn't work, the stairs is all fucked up. And that's another callback, because in the original, they try to get in a car and they try to go back over the bridge, and the bridge is gone. Just like in this one, they try to go down the stairs and the stairs is gone. So it's definitely familiar things, And like I said, some people might say, oh, well, it's the same. No, it's how the Deadites operate.
Yeah, they fuck with you.
Right. And it happens to work, if they can take out a bridge, they can take out steps or whatever, an elevator and everything else. So, but yeah, without giving too much away and going scene by scene, I mean, there's some brutal and bloody scenes in this film.
If you like blood, holy shitballs.
Yeah.
This is the most blood I've seen in a horror movie, I don't know, in 5 years? Maybe longer?
I don't know. It might, excuse me again. It might, I drew parallel with the gore to Terrifier 2, but I actually think, Terrifier 2 is a totally different movie. It's more of an over-the-top gore fest. This one is a really good horror movie with good gore. I think that's the difference between the two. But think of just as much gore in this movie than it was in Terrifier 2, but used in a more realistic type of way.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
And, the good thing about this movie is that every cool thing that I saw in the trailer happens in this movie, and I know it's coming and everything, and then I see it and it's still cool. It's not like, oh, well, this was in the trailer, I know it's coming. Everything was set up very well, even though I remember the trailer and I'll go, oh, well, this is when she says blah, blah, blah. Everything still worked. I didn't roll my eyes and go, oh, well, that's that scene. I'm like, no, this is coming. This is fucking awesome. And like I said, it's a very simple yet complex film. And those are always the best. The ones that you don't have to have a whole lot of fucking story to it. And I'm not saying that this don't have a story to it. It does. It's just a very simple, comprehensible. You can comprehend the story is what I'm trying to say. Yes. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated is what I'm saying. You don't have to make a shitload of characters and give every single one of them a background, and every single one of them has, something to be told. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And that's not what this movie did. And I'll be honest with you, they probably did use a little bit of CGI in this movie, but you can't fucking tell at all.
No.
Everything is very good in this movie. Everything is very carefully. And I was kind of concerned because when you have a movie like this and the power goes out in the movie and stuff like that and they light candles, I was like, man, it's going to get dark here and there's going to be some scenes where you're not going to be able to tell too much of what's going on. None of that happened.
No.
Like, everything was very...
I thought they were going to go jump scare, like, heavy, and they didn't.
No, they
went creepy.
Yeah, they went creepy, and they went more of a, we're not going to hide in a fucking closet. We're not going to do this. It's not one of those movies. And I'm not saying that those tactics don't work. They do. I love a shit ton of movie that's nothing but jump scares. But this was a different movie. This was an Evil Dead movie. This is about, somebody. This isn't like your typical possessed movie. That's one thing that I want to say that's different from the Evil Dead movies than every other possessed movie. Because every other possessed movie, the goal is to get that fucking demon or whatever out of the person and save the person. In an Evil Dead movie, it's not really like that. Once they turn, they're kind of just fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no hope.
There's no... in the 2013, the main girl, at the end got the demon out and everything like that. But most of the time, you're only going to be able to defeat these deadites, as they're known to be called, if you totally dismember them. And even then, they can still come back if you don't. You basically have to, turn them into liquid shit.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, and we're not going to tell you how or whatever, but, because we definitely encourage everybody to go see this. Make this the biggest movie of the year as far as horror movies.
So far, so good.
Yeah, we've seen a few horror movies this year, and we've gave them favorable reviews. Some we haven't. Some's been but,
I'm almost, speechless at how well they did. Yeah. I think that's my thing, is, this feels like an Evil Dead movie. You even have I'll spoil one kill that was so, it was such an Evil Dead kill. When she ripped his eyeball out and spit it out and choked the other guy to death on his fucking eyeball.
And, this...
That's such an Evil Dead thing.
Yeah, and the one thing that this new Evil Dead film does that's on par with the 2013, that's a little bit different than the originals, is that there is no undertone comedy to it at all. This is straight up horror. There's nothing funny about this. Everything is disturbingly almost kind of look away type of deal.
It has some humor in it, but it's very, very, very dark humor.
Yeah, it's not these people are not in a situation and they know that they're fucked and they make jokes about it. It's not like that. It's more very subtle stuff, more sick sense of humor, more when you see a Freddy Krueger kill somebody and he says something funny and you laugh, but it's not supposed to be funny. It's just funny because of the way he said it or whatever. It's more sadistic type of shit.
Yeah.
Or, when not as far as a Chucky or anything like that, where, he's all about, killing people and making jokes about it because that's what it is to him. It's a joke. Not like that. This is more you know, these motherfuckers are after you. And for the most part, I would say, maybe 2% comedy.
Yeah,
at the most. This is a 98% straight up fucking old school serious horror film.
Yeah, like even like when the girl gets her head like scalped, like the delivery wasn't funny because she was like, I can't stand, what'd she say? I can't stand your meathead boyfriend.
Yeah,
and
she was like, I can't stand your meathead boyfriend. Then she rips her skull off. She basically scalps her like a freaking Indian.
Yeah, but with like just pulling her ponytail.
Yeah,
off.
just pulling the ponytail, and then, you know, she goes, well, who's the meathead now? You know, after, you know. Now, we'll chuckle at that, but that's just because we're sick son of a bitches, too. So,
yeah.
You know, the normal person, I mean, we didn't laugh when we saw that. We were just like, God damn.
Yeah, I was more blown away with the practical effects. Like, if you are a fan of, like, practical effects and special effects makeup, this is the movie.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I looked up the cast, and I looked up, most of these cast members are foreign people. They're not, God damn, I'm drinking too much fucking Mountain Lightning diet, by the way.
Ew.
Anyway, yeah, most of the cast is either from Australia or the little girl in it is actually from England. So a lot of the cast members aren't even like big name Hollywood type of people. They're all like, you know, the two main girls, the two main sisters in it. Both of them are from Australia. The brother, he's from Australia. He's actually transgender. I don't know if you could tell that, but I could.
I kind of.
Yeah.
Like he's what, transitioning to be a woman?
No. He's a woman.
This transition.
Yeah, he started off as a child, like kind of actor. He's been in a few movies, none of which we would see, but he plays he's a girl in those movies with long blonde hair and shit like that. He's transitioning to be Machine Gun Kelly, I guess.
Oh, I kind of thought I was like,
yeah. When you look at his face, though, you were like, you know, like I don't see a little stumble right there with him. Like it could be a must. Like the whole, I thought that about 2 or 3 times when they did close-ups of his face.
I thought he looked feminine.
Yeah. And then I thought to myself, he looks like, I'm not buying that he's like a real dude, but it didn't that wasn't like my first thought. That was like way back in my fucking brain. Yeah. Because the movie was so good and his performance was so good, I didn't really care, but I wanted to know who the hell I was, you know, all the people I was watching. So I did, you know, Google the cast members, and that's where I found out that like he's Australian. The two sisters, the mom who's only 40 years old, by the way, she's Australian. The sister who's kind of like the hero in it. Or her sister, she's like 28, the one that was pregnant.
Right.
The other girl that was the sister of Danny and the little girl, I don't remember her, but she's not that old either. She's like 20, 21. By the way, he's like 20, 21. So all these, they're literally kids. And the little girl was born in 2011. So she's about 12 years old.
Wow.
She's probably about 11 or so when she made this film.
Yeah.
And she's from England, I believe. And that's your main cast right there.
And they all did an amazing job.
Yeah. I actually believed that they were a family. You know what I mean? Like, I could see that. I could see the mom going through problems, the husband leaving, worrying about where she's going to live and all that shit. The little girl kind of just, being in her own little world, not really caring about too much at that age. And then, the two older siblings kind of being, I guess you would call, they're into their little scene, like the Danny's, like he likes to DJ and shit like that. Yeah. The other girl, they didn't do too much of her, but she has like the short haircut, and you can tell that she's probably like,
lesbian.
want to be like that alternative lifestyle.
Yeah, I think she was lesbian. I think because she was supposed to go protest at some rally. I didn't get a good look at the sign on the table.
And that's but that's good, because we can speculate what these characters were, but they're not established. Now you think to yourself, well, that's not a good movie if they don't establish the characters. Yes, it is, because of what the movie established. You don't need to know these backstories. She could be going to fucking protest fucking, vegan stuff, or it doesn't matter.
Right.
That doesn't matter. That's not the core story. It all matters that this was a family where this shit happened to. You know what I mean? And it
don't matter if you're gay, straight, purple, or pink. You're fucked in this movie.
Yeah, and that's what when a horror movie does it right, you don't care about things like that.
Right.
You really don't. You just don't. When you have a movie that the core is to bring to you a story about a horrible thing happening to people, doesn't matter what they are, who they are, what their background is, if they're left, they're right, they're gay, they're straight, they're trans, whatever the fuck. All of that takes a backseat to the story. And if you present the story right, it doesn't matter. You can make any character you want to. Horror movies are the most inclusive ever, and people don't even realize it. And it's because that you can take everybody from every background and put them in a situation, and it doesn't matter. They all have to deal with the horror coming at them. That becomes the focus.
Right.
When you have other movies that's focused on the characteristics of a person rather than the story, that's when you get these movies where you're like, oh, fuck, they're trying to preach to me. They're trying to fucking...
They, them,
yeah. They, Them is a movie that we talked about a little bit here on the podcast, but never went in depth because I don't think you've seen it.
Yeah.
But I've talked a little bit about it, and anybody who's seen it that likes it, cool for you. But when I saw the movie, I did not care at all about, what political or, what's the word I'm looking for? Social message that they're trying to push. Because I knew what it was going to be. Agenda. Because I knew what it was going to be. I was just going to see if they were going to pull it off in a way that I actually liked it. And they totally shit the bed with it. They did the opposite of what you should do. It started out as a good movie, and it's one of those rare horror movies where when it gets down to the killing and it gets down to the gore and the wet stuff and the stuff you're there to see, that's where it fails. Everything else is actually interesting. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
That's the only time you'll hear me say that the only thing bad about a movie was what it was intended to do, and that was, give us the blood and guts and stuff of it. They didn't do it well because of the director's agenda was not that. It was to get out a message. Then the gore and shit was an afterthought. That's why the movie sucked. As opposed to a movie like we watched a while ago called Sick.
Yeah.
And that was about the mask and everything else.
It was about COVID.
It was about COVID, but it became this horrible shit happening first, and then COVID happened to be there for the reason.
Exactly.
And that gets back to, Evil Dead. It doesn't matter about these characters. They never establish them anyway, but you can kind of tell that, this girl looks like she'd paint her hair purple and stand outside of a building with a sign.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if she was going to do that. She ain't going to do shit now because she's dead, but, that type of shit puts it on a backstory. Getting back to the actual movie, though, I just can't say enough good things about this film. I mean, this is everything that we always say, buy it on DVD, buy it on 4K, buy this, do all of it, buy all of it.
Go see it, go buy it. I do want to talk about the person that played the mom in this movie, the mom, Ellie. Is that her name? Ellie? I think it was Ellie.
Yeah.
She was fucking amazing.
Yeah, she probably played the most memorable character in an Evil Dead movie, being possessed by a deadite.
Yeah, she's probably the most memorable one.
Like her facials, her movements, and everything about her screamed, "I'm possessed."
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
There's no getting around it. She did an amazing job.
Her smile.
Yeah, the smile and the shit. God. And this movie did a really good job of course, everybody in the movie gets buckets upon buckets of blood pouring on them. And, it's something special when you can see somebody covered in blood and you can only see their eyes and maybe a little bit of their skin a little bit. They look different than they normally do.
Right.
And you don't see that a whole lot with modern horror movies. And this movie was great. I mean, this is probably going to go down as being probably, I don't know. It's my first watch of it. I'm thinking to myself, I fucking enjoyed it tremendously. I don't, it might take me a while to say, oh, it's better than this Evil Dead movie, it's better than that, but, it might not be better, but I'm going so far as to say it's on the same fucking level of the heyday of Evil Dead.
I've been kind of battling that debate in my head. I think that's why I've been quiet, because I honestly want to say, it's on par with the first one.
Yeah, I mean,
the creepiness and darkness that the remake captured.
Yeah,
it took that and then turned it up to 10.
Yeah,
there was a scene I had to kind of look away, the cheese grater scene.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh god, because if you've ever just fucking caught a finger on it, just using it, but oh god, just thinking about the goddamn scene.
Yeah, if you're a little bit older and you remember going to the theaters or going to the video store and renting the first Evil Dead the first time, and you brought it home, or you sat in a theater and you watched it for the very first time and you walked away and you go, holy fucking shit, I've never seen anything like that. That was great. I kind of got the same feeling after I walked out of the theater watching this movie, because for the last 20 years or so, movies like this have been very few and far between. There's not been many that have had every single element of a horror movie, as far as a good cast, a good script, tons of blood, tons of gore, great kills, good CGI, good practical effects, just good lighting, good directing, everything all around.
Music.
Right.
Score amazing.
Like, as much as we praise Terrifier 2, it's still a low-budget film, and you can still tell it's a low-budget film.
Right.
They just did very well for a low-budget film.
Yeah.
This movie didn't feel... I mean, there was no famous people in this movie as far as Hollywood goes. And
right.
And it was... They fucking hit a home run with it. And, you know, the story was there, the gore was there, the blood was there, the characters were there, the lighting was there, the music was there. Everything was there in this movie. So, you know, what I was getting to is the first time older people walked out of the theater and saw the first Evil Dead, I want to think that maybe the way I felt after I left the theater would be kind of like what they felt when they watched the first Evil Dead. Like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, that's probably why we didn't want to stand around and talk about it too much, because, you know, we didn't want to give away. Like, I think inside we were all like, God damn, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I really was. I was like, I was speechless. It was so good.
It really is.
I have never walked away from a horror movie speechless.
Yeah, and, you know, we've seen some good movies this year. You know, we've seen some, you know, one word that kind of describes some of the movies that we've seen this year is surprising, because a lot of the movies that are not supposed to be as good ends up being good, like, you know, Cocaine Bear and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this movie, if you have an expectation, it's going to blow your expectation out of the water. So,
I mean, honestly, like, if you're a true Evil Dead fan and you hate this movie, please come talk to me. I really want to know how you hate this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to sit here and say, you're a fucking idiot, you're a fucking moron. Like, I'm really sitting here with my mouth like, what the fuck? Like, why?
Is it the thing that I've heard online is that some of your haters are hating because Ash isn't in it.
Well, you know, the fact of the matter is they announced that long before the project ever started, that he is involved with this. He's an executive producer as well as Sam Raimi.
You hear his voice in the movie too.
Yeah, you hear his voice when they play the records in the background.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even have to look that up, and I knew that's what it was.
I looked
could
it
hear
up
him in the background.
to double check to make sure that that's what I thought. But yeah, like I don't.
And unlike other people that have property like your your Star Wars and all that just puts their product in somebody else's hands and just doesn't care, and just, you know, like George Lucas, like, I don't care, it's Star Wars. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's Star Wars, and that's going to get people to come see it, and I'm going to make money regardless. That's not what this is about. I'm almost for sure that Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell was fucking hands-on with this movie, and I believe that this was a real, like, co-operation type of deal where they found a newer director that had a fresh perspective, and they had their ideas, and they really came together.
Bounced off of each
Yeah,
other.
they didn't just go, oh, well, here's the Evil Dead, don't make it suck. Or, hey, you know, as long as we make the profit back from the money we spent to make it.
Right.
It wasn't. No, you don't feel like this is not a cash grab. This is a horror movie for horror fans.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the last couple of years, you know, we've gotten the Michael Myers movies. We've gotten, you know, a few movies that are still floating around here that are legendary. You know, the Friday the 13th, the series is going to come out sometime, probably next year or whatever.
Yeah.
We just had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie on Netflix. You know, there's rumors and innuendos about, you know, maybe Kevin Bacon is a Freddy or whatever. That's been talked about for years. But here's another franchise that's not as popular as them, but has been around like in the heyday when, you know, when they were big as well in the 80s. And it just came out with a newer movie, and it kicked fucking ass.
Yeah, it's safe to say, even with the television series, that Evil Dead is solid.
Yeah, I mean, if you Evil Dead has a little bit of something for everybody. If you know, the first movie was a very low budget sleeper hit that caught people's attention, caught audiences' attention because it wasn't a big budget film and it had a little problems, but overall it was a kick-ass fucking movie. The second Evil Dead is when Sam Raimi got a little bit of money and he basically kind of redid the first one a little bit, you know, and put a little bit more of a comedy twist to it, but it was still iconic. The third one is just fucking fantastic as far as like straight up goofball shit.
Over the top.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Then,
horror.
You know, the 2013 brought it back to, you know, it got away from the comedy stuff and made it more serious. And then this movie is the same way. And then the TV show is for those fans of, you know, basically Bruce as, you know.
I'd say you're more Army of Darkness fans.
Yeah.
What the television series was.
Yeah.
Is more contributing to, like, the first three.
Yeah. The fans of Ash and the whole, you know, how he's kind of like an anti-hero type of deal. And he makes, you know, he makes all those classic comments, you know, groovy, shit like that, you know, to get you a chuckle. Everything from the Evil Dead, I can't say that there's one thing from the Evil Dead that has came out that I say that I absolutely hate it. Everything I'm fine with. I mean, I can laugh. I can fucking, you know, go, God damn, that was fucking brutal. I'm everything from it. I mean, it's a solid series. We talk about the Scream series being solid.
Right.
I think the Evil Dead may be the most consistent horror series, maybe out of all of them, be honest with you.
Yeah, if Scream didn't have that one shitty season, what was on VH1 or some shit like that.
Scream?
Yeah.
What, the series?
Yeah, the series.
I liked all the series.
I didn't like the last one. I like the ones that were on MTV.
Oh, you didn't like the last one where it was like 6 episodes?
Yeah, I wasn't too big of a fan of it.
I like that, but that's beside the point.
Anyway, what I'm saying is the consistency of the Evil Dead, even including the television show, it's untouchable, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I can't say one bad word about the Evil Dead franchise. Now, I did want to see Ash. I'm not gonna lie. I like Ash. I like Bruce Campbell.
I like Ash and I like Bruce Campbell as well, but his character does not fit the mood of this film.
No, I don't think I could have.
Bruce Campbell cannot pull off a dead serious Evil Dead movie. It's just not possible.
Not at this point. Not with all the.
No, I think that's why he chose to do the television show, because he could bring that personality to Ash, and that's the best use for it. But he also, as an executive producer, can produce a very serious movie like this. And if this is his he's contributing to this franchise with a movie like this, fuck yeah, I'm all for it. Stay what you're doing. Give us what we want. It's not like we're not going to show up at conventions and get your autograph and shit like that. No. If anything, we're going to thank you for allowing, there's kind of like two different worlds of Evil Dead. There's a serious world, and then there's what it morphed into after the second one.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because both of them are goddamn good, and both of them are awesome. And, like I said, Bruce, hearing his voice on the record in the background in the crowd and shit like that's what we need to use him for. We need, have that little glimpse of the old, car or the old chainsaw, the old shotgun. That's fine. That's what we need him for. We don't, it sucks that they canceled the TV show because, everybody liked it.
Maybe the popularity of this movie will actually get us back on track with the TV show. Maybe somebody will pick it up.
Yeah. One thing that I hope that this movie does is I hope they let this movie breathe. I hope that they don't rush it right in.
They said that they want, this one is successful, every 2 years.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I don't want to be rushed. And, people say, oh, well, we want to capitalize on the popularity. Believe me, if you make something this good, people are not going to forget it within 2 years. They're not.
No.
And give it time to work it out. Do not Halloween ends this shit. Okay?
Yeah, you got a good thing going.
Right. Do not
a great
rush.
Thing going.
Do not rush. Do not settle for the first fucking script that somebody gives you a month from now. Don't do that. Don't, and don't neglect what the actual story is. And the story will always be the Book of the Dead and somebody being possessed. And, don't neglect that. And if you don't do that, you'll be fine. And you'll make a kick-ass fucking movie like this. Anyway, let's give it rating. Rating time, baby.
This is hard because I want to give it a 10.
Well, you're welcome to give it a 10, but
I think I'm going to give it a solid 9.
Okay. I was going back and forth between a 9 and a 9.5. And honestly, I was thinking about a 10 myself because I couldn't find too much wrong with it.
If I nitpick it, it could have been a little bit more character development to make you care about the characters a little bit more, but I already cared about the characters the way that they told the story.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that I'm going to stick with a 9, but I believe in a few years as this movie gets a little bit older, I could probably boost it up to a 9.5 because all other movies, horror movies that come out this year, they have a tough task to, make me like it more than this. So this is definitely the candidate so far for best horror movie of the year.
Yeah, I kind of called it. I knew it. I saw it. God damn, was it good.
It was good. Watch it. It is great. If you are a horror fan, watch it. If you are an Evil Dead fan, watch it. If you've never seen an Evil Dead movie, watch this movie. You don't need to get caught up. All you need to know is that the Book of the Dead has been around for a long, long time. And if you fuck with it and you don't know what you're doing, you will conjure up fucking demons and they will possess you and bad shit will happen. That's all you need to know.
And somebody's gonna die.
Somebody's gonna get fucked.
Anyway, I'm JT Ripper. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Horrible Podcast.
I am Todd of Thunder, and I'm signing off. Toodaloo.
Groovy.
Mommy's with the maggots now.